When you are doing strengthening with a weight, you want a weight that is heavy enough to give you a challenge, but light enough that it's not hard. We typically will start most people out with a 1 pound, but if you're a strong guy, you may be starting out with a 2 or 3. We typically will work most ladies up to being able to do 30 reps with a 2 or 3 pound weight, depending upon their age and activity level, and most guys anywhere between 3 and 5 pound weight, depending upon their activity level and age. Basically, you're going to usually do any of your wrist exercises first, both the stretching and the active exercises, before you then go to your weight. If you're at home and you don't have real weights, you just need to use a weight that feels similar to that size. Like it can be a small hammer, it can be a small tool, it can be a flashlight, it can be a water bottle. You just need an object that is heavy enough to feel challenging, but light enough not to feel hard. We typically strengthen the wrist in 2 different directions. Extension, that's like I'm going to grab the Kroger bag. And then in deviation, upward radial deviation is what it's called. That's like I'm going to grab a skillet, I'm going to pick up a baby, I'm going to pick up a milk jug. You take your weight. Now you don't want to hold it hard, but you do want to hold on to the weight, and you're going to support your upper arm so it does not go anywhere, because otherwise you can cheat and use your elbow muscles and not get your wrist. You raise the wrist up as far as you comfortably can. It does not have to be your maximum range. We're not going for range here, we're going for strength. So as long as you're lifting it, your muscle is firing. You hold it for 5 seconds, which is typical for strengthening and a little bit shorter time frame than we do when we do motion. Then you let it hang down to be a stretcher in the resting position for 5 seconds. So lift, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 2 things I tell people not to do is do not fling, because that hurts, and do not flop, because that hurts. So it's controlled. Up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have any nerve problems or any other discomfort with this position, the alternative position is to be somewhat on the table and have a smaller arc for going down. Up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The least aggressive form would be to do a tabletop, but sometimes that's a little awkward because you don't have a lot of range to come up through. So this would be option 3, this would be option 2, and this would be the standard option. Now the other thing you do not want to do with this is use your fingers. So sometimes when your wrist is stiff, you'll cheat and try to hold the weight with your fingers, and that hurts and is awkward and doesn't get you the correct muscles strengthened. So make sure you're not holding the weight strongly, but also do make sure you're holding the weight and coming from the wrist coming up like revving a motorcycle, and not from the fingers. That's wrist extension. You'll start out with 10 reps. When it gets easy, each day we ask you to say, I can do more or not. And if the answer is yes, you would go up by 5 more. So the next day you do 15, the next day you do 20. The goal is to get up to 25 and then 30. When you can do 30 with whatever pound weight, you would go to the next pound weight, say a 2 pound, start back at 10 reps and work your way back up so that you continue to build that strength. Any day you're able to increase by 5, that's great. Any day you're not able to increase, just continue with the same number until you get there. Again, you would do it 3 to 4 times a day, and you would do it after your other wrist range of motion exercises like the stretching and the exercise. That is extension. The other one is radial deviation. Instead of being palm down, you'll be thumb side up. Now with this one, you'll tilt toward the ceiling. It is not a very big motion, so don't expect a lot. As long as you're lifting, you're using the muscles. I'm not concerned about how much range you have or fire. Then you're going to let it hang down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and rest. Tilt up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hang down and rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Be careful when you're doing this one, you don't talk or get busy and you look up and you're over in this position again, because you're again doing your extension exercises and you're not getting that pure deviation exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, alternatives would be to choke up on the weight at the edge of the table, not go through as large an arc. If you have to go all the way back to using tabletop, you will need to come down on the weight, because if I hold it here, I really can't get up very well. So I'm going to choke down on the weight and hold it there and then tilt it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not necessarily recommended, but totally available if that's what you need to perform it. Again, starting out at 10 reps, working up as tolerated, ideally daily, to 10 to 15, 20, 25, 30. When you get to 30, going to the next pound weight, continuing up until you say, I can do all activities with my wrist without any weakness sensation.